Hey everybody, Lance Bell here, mind of a black, moderate conservative, and you see it right on the screen for Politico. The, the Democratic National Convention has started, and I'll be the first person to admit I totally forgot I was on last night. The first person to admit that because nobody's really talking about it, sort of, because they're trying to do everything remotely, and it's not going to work. But I figured I'd talk about it this morning, since I got a little bit of time. Now it says here, DNC goes full infomercial. Superlatives from night one of the convention. Now I'll scroll down here. I apologize, I can't get that cookie thing off. Thank you, OBS. It says here, after decades of the same parade of speeches in cameras, arenas to distracted, disinterested, and often inebriated delegates, the first night of 2020 Democratic Convention finally gave up the strained connection to the drama-filled convention of old, and with full infomercial. Now that I agree with, because I watched part of it this morning, and it looked really canned. I mean, so canned. I stopped watching after a while, and I started skipping around. Now, even like Gloria was on there, I did see that part. I skipped that. Now, it says here, and I scroll down, the Democrats devoted much of the first hour to confronting some painful issues. The speaker included family members of George Floyd and Eric Garner, two African Americans killed by the police. Okay, I'm not going to go down that road because I'll be here for the next hour. I'll just leave it at that. Joining them was Christian Orizia. I know I pronounced that wrong. I apologize. The Phoenix woman who said her father trusted President Donald Trump's downplaying of the threat of COVID-19, but then contracted the virus and died. Now, here's the deal. I hate people being put up as props. Now, in the case of her father, was it COVID or was it valley fever? Because it's that time of year right now. And I lived in Phoenix for 10 years, so it could have been one or the other. Now, former Vice President Joe Biden made an appearance, obviously short pre-recorded conversation on race relations and police misconduct. It's unusual to see the nominee in waiting on the first night, but this really wasn't a convention at all. This was a TV show, and some elements better than others. Virtual fans might work as kishy gimmick at the pro basketball games played inside an NBA bubble. Now, Michelle Obama's on there, and the blah, blah, blahs. Now, here's the thing. Here's what I want to talk about. Bernie Sanders. Now, the second half of the night featured a 10-minute segment of Biden's former primary rivals gushing about his career before Bernie Sanders came on as the closer. They're delivering both a trademark indictment of Trump and a validation of Biden's progressive credentials to his still loyal supporters as primary. Here's the deal, Mr. Sanders. You sold your own fans out not once, but twice. You have no space. And the only reason that this is not a live convention because of your fans. Because I guarantee you, if there was an actual convention with people there in Milwaukee, it would turn directly back into another 1968. And that's what they're not talking about right now. They knew that was going to happen. Nobody wants to talk about that. I see it. I see straight through that. And Sanders, don't give me that crap. You know? And now he says, while Joe and I disagree on the best path to universal coverage, he has a plan to greatly expand healthcare costs and cut the prescription of drugs. Go after big pharma, not government. Sanders also said the strongest word for Trump hitting the president for his authoritarianism and handling the coronavirus. Okay, authoritarianism, that's what the far left is trying to do now. Talk about hypocrisy. Now, as far as the coronavirus, he tried to handle it. I distinctly remember back on January 31st, and I remember this because it was the day after my birthday. He tried to do a straight up moratorium, quarantine of China. He was called a xenophobe for it. Call it whatever you like. I remember that specifically. Nero fiddle where Rome burned, Sanders said. Golf trumps his action fan of endeavor, and it resulted in 170,000 deaths, which is still debatable, and a nation still unprepared to protect its people. Wrong. Much as I go after Trump, this is dead wrong. He tried right at the start. Like I just said earlier, he was called a xenophobe for that. And we get the John Kasich. Now, Kasich, living here in Ohio, I got to see Kasich firsthand. And John Kasich's going to be John Kasich. I think he just wanted to be there just to talk. That's just me, And you had Klobuchar on there, Senate cameo, like a bunch of It was just a bunch of nonsense on night one. Now, as a moderate conservative, nothing, when I watched this, nothing swayed me. It didn't. It was all about Orange Man bad, basically. It was a big old infomercial, just like Political said. Now, is that what you want people on Team Blue? More power to you. Give me some substance. And like I said earlier, it would have turned to another 1968 if they actual convention. And in the basement candidacy of Biden. Now, Harris will be out there, but she's going to get slaughtered based on her record. I've said this before, California will be in play because of her. And this is a thing all about nothing. So we're going into day two. We'll see how this thing pans out. I know the RNC convention, I don't know how they're going to do it either. I mean, I'm 40, and this is probably the weirdest election cycle I've ever seen. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens coming down the road. So I'll leave it at that, folks. I'm going to get off here. My name is Lance Bell, mind of a black, moderate conservative.